We've joined by Victor Zihai Gao, who is a Chinese lawyer, businessman, and academic, who is the vice president of the Beijing-based Center for China and Globalization. Victor Gao, thank you very much to have joined us. We had been trying to get hold of you, but of course, circumstances sometimes evade us. How do you view the recent escalation with India, Victor Gao? What does it say about regional peace and stability? And how do you judge Pakistan's response from a Chinese perspective?
Thank you very much for having me. Greetings from Dubai. I think the recent development shows several things. One is peace and stability need to be defended at any cost, and any attempt to resort to use of force, try to solve any particular problem, is not very constructive. Secondly, yes, indeed, there was this showdown between India and Pakistan initiated by India. And in this round of showdown, Pakistan demonstrated extreme forms of courage and wisdom and resourcefulness, and eventually actually defeated the Indian attempts. And I think there are several reasons. One is the heroism and the courage of the pilots and the soldiers and the officers of the armed forces of Pakistan. But equally importantly, the capabilities of the fighter planes by the Pakistani pilots outperformed any expectation. And I think their capabilities now became the household name in the world because they performed way beyond any expectation by shooting down quite a few very advanced planes on the Indian side. Now, my personal reading is that the Pakistani side has already made great achievement in what we call the synthesization and the coordination of space, air force, ground force, naval force, and the submarine, which I always call it's the merging of the 5 dimensions. Now, this is very important. It means that the planes themselves are still important, but you need to put them into this overall operating framework, whereby you actually draw everything. All the data will be synthesized and coordinated by space, air, ground, sea, and the submarine side. So that will be the fighting success going forward, not only for this round of showdown between India and Pakistan, but also for the future wars in any parts of the world. My personal observation is that I'm so happy that China has demonstrated it is fully committed to helping Pakistan to defend its legitimate interests in terms of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And China and Pakistan have proven through this round of fierce air show that we are true brothers and sisters, and no one should ever second guess China's commitment to helping Pakistan to defend its sovereignty and territorial integrity.
Talking of Pakistan-China relations, Mr. Gao, you've described these relations as ironclad and have emphasized mutual support. In light of the recent Indian strikes on Pakistani territories that you've talked about as well, how does China interpret these actions, and also what implications are these going to have for regional stability?
Well, I would say preserving peace and stability on the Indian subcontinent is of paramount importance. And mainly, both India and Pakistan have very large populations, and they all need to develop their economy to make sure that the people will enjoy the standards of living ever being improved. And then war will actually destroy any prospect of improved living standards for the people. Now, the further thing is that India should not become a proxy of another superpower. And I'm very much concerned about the recent frequent exchanges between the high-level officials on the American side and the Indian side just before the outbreak of hostilities initiated by India against Pakistan. That means countries like India and Pakistan really need to use their own brain power to maintain peace and stability and make sure that they will conduct their relations in peace and diplomacy and dialogue. And if there are any problems, try your best to solve the problems in negotiations, rather than losing any patience to jump to the conclusion and use war as if that could help you to solve the problem. Now, I would say China and Pakistani cooperation involves the seamless integration of technologies of all kinds, and China will have no hesitation to share with Pakistani brothers and sisters the most advanced technologies at China's disposal. And China is really fast becoming one of the most important leading powers in the world in terms of the most advanced technologies, especially in the artificial intelligence side. That will make our brothers and sisters in Pakistan more assured that they will have the capabilities to deal with whatever adversities in the coming years and beyond.
Mr. Gao, you have stated in previous interviews that China will not waver in defending Pakistan's sovereignty and core interests. You've highlighted a little aspect of that in your previous response as well. But in the larger context, looking at the current escalation and how India is a neighbor that cannot be trusted with its statements or its belligerent attitude and its warmongering and its jingoism, what forms could the support that China has already given to Pakistan many times, even recently, what forms could this further take to strengthen the relationship and also to strengthen Pakistan's stability and strategic positioning in the region?
Yeah, allow me to mention one thing. I'm personally shocked when India decided to divert the water from Pakistan, which will result in extreme difficulties for the millions of the people in Pakistan if the water would be diverted otherwise. Now, I understand between Pakistan and India, there have been concluded agreements or even treaties about how the water in these important rivers should be allocated. And if India would do this, regardless of its treaty obligations and international law obligations, I'm very much concerned, because I said in my interview on the Indian television that in terms of war, this may be considered as a war crime. In terms of peace, this may be considered as a crime against humanity. So I will personally propose that among China, India, and Pakistan, we need to come up with agreements so that no country should be allowed to divert water from these rivers against international obligations or against mutual treaty obligations. And if one country decides to divert water against another country, which is on the downstream, then the third country on the upstream should have the obligation to deal with this violating country. Now, this will probably make this treaty about the water allocation in the Indian subcontinent more reasonable and more predictable, because no one should be allowed to divert or deny the countries and the people in the downstream the benefit of using water in the upstream. Most of these rivers originate in China's Tibetan region anyway.
That's true. Mr. Gao, also, you've also highlighted many times the importance of the CPEC, the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, as a symbol of deep strategic trust between the People's Republic of China and the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Could the current hostilities affect the progress and security of CPEC projects? What kind of future are you seeing as far as CPEC and BRI is concerned?
Well, my personal observation is that while China has been involved in BRI initiatives in more than 160 countries in the world, the whole CPEC projects combined together are the largest investment ever in the BRI system. Now, compared with other projects in historical terms, I would also be surprised if you can really find any other major infrastructure projects which can surpass the scale and the importance of the CPEC projects. So CPEC is really a liberating force for millions of the people in Pakistan, and it will really bring peace and stability and prosperity to different parts in Pakistan. Now, I'm personally very much concerned about some terrorist attacks against people involved in the projects of the CPEC, and I do hope China and Pakistan will work together, join hands together to make sure that safety will be absolutely provided and no loss of life will be allowed to happen. And then sufficient resources should be allocated to protect the safety and the security of the CPEC projects. I think India should also join the BRI projects. They claim that because some parts of the CPEC projects go through some part of Kashmir controlled by Pakistan, they think that's a violation against their interest. I hope India will have a larger historical perspective to look at all these CPEC projects. The more connectivity projects there will be in the Indian subcontinent, the greater benefits will be created for the benefits of the Pakistani people, but also for the Indian people at large.